Hello everyone, my name is Druki Forever, and today I thought it might be neat if I talked to you about my limited run games collection and show off the pieces I've managed to collect so far. We'll talk about what the point of LRG is, what games I have, what's sealed, what's not sealed, what's on the way, and what I'm missing that I really want. And for the first time in the history of my channel, I actually did some camera work. It's pretty bad, actually. I'm sorry I have to put you through this, but hey, I can only get better from here, right? So without further ado, let's dive into today's video. Limited Run Games is an American video game distributor, but a lot of people don't know that they're actually a division of Mighty Rabbit Studios, the game developer. Located in Apex, North Carolina, the LRG office appears to be completely separate from Mighty Rabbit Studios according to Google Maps, which I found to be interesting. I had assumed they were in the same building. Perhaps they are, in a corporate complex or something. Either way, they eventually developed a game that I'm sadly missing from my collection that I absolutely love, and that is Breach and Clear Deadline. There aren't many LRG releases that I really wanted and missed out on, but this was one of them. Some other games I missed out on were Oxenfree, twice, Firewatch, and the Sega CD style soundtrack for Alone With You. Don't even get me started on how angry I was at LRG over that one. Let's just say I'm pretty sure most of them were purchased by bots and they did absolutely nothing to correct it, and I'll never forget it. But moving on from my little grudge against them, they do seem to be taking great care to preserve some of the best digital releases of the last few years. Unless it's horror, then they kind of ignore it for the most part, but that's besides the point. They're doing good work preserving games on physical media, and they tend not to charge insane amounts most of the time. But enough with the explanations, the brief mentions of things I'm missing in my collection. Let's talk about what's actually in my collection. These games are mostly in alphabetical order, except I tried to save a few of the collector's editions for last. So, first up is Bloodstained, Curse of the Moon for the PS Vita. This is one of only 4 physical Vita games that I actually own, and this is the only collector's edition. It is sealed, so I've never actually seen what's inside, but according to the website, it has the game, a retro cartridge sleeve to fit your game case, a reversible poster, and the official soundtrack. Next up is Alone With You by my favorite indie developer, Benjamin Rivers. My copy is sealed. We're actually also going to see another one of his games in my collection in just a little while. Alone With You is a sci-fi romance story, and the graphics in this game are absolutely beautiful. I may be more of a fan of Benjamin's horror games, but this one is easily the best looking game he's made. The color palette is stunning, the story is longer than you'd think, and it requires you to put great thought into your answers. Next up is Claire Extended Cut. This is actually one of my favorite horror games of all time. It's basically a 2D Silent Hill, and there's nothing wrong with that. Despite owning the game digitally on PS4 and Steam, I stupidly decided to open this when I got it. Don't ask me why. I do dumb things sometimes. I really just wanted to see what it looked like inside, but then I forgot to record me opening it up for you. Sorry about that. Next is Dear Esther Landmark Edition. This copy is sealed. This is a walking simulator from another one of my favorite developers, The Chinese Room. They made Amnesia, A Machine for Pigs, and one of my top 10 favorite games of all time, Everybody's Gone to the Rapture, a game I would literally kill to get a physical edition of. Dear Esther is considered by some to be the very first walking simulator ever made, so it's important in that it helped start the entire genre. Next is Home, a unique horror adventure by Benjamin Rivers. I told you we'd be seeing another game from him in here. This copy is sealed, and for some reason I forgot to record the back, but the main detail on the back is that it's limited run number 128. This came out the same day as the other games pictured here, but I missed them so that I could get home. It's quite a simple game, but the atmosphere is absolutely fantastic. It was one of the first digital games I bought on my PS4, and I probably played it 5 times in a row the day I got it. I now own it digitally everywhere, and I'm happy to have this physical PS4 copy in my collection. Here we have the Infectious Madness of Dr. Dekker. This copy is sealed because I also own this digitally on Steam. This is a Cthulhu-esque FMV game that gets very interesting the more you play. Also, there is so much you can miss in this game, so I do recommend multiple playthroughs in order to get as much of the story as possible. The actors in this one turn in incredible performances, one of my favorite FMV games of all time. Here we have Kill the Bad Guy. This one is opened because I didn't own it anywhere else at the time I bought it, and in fact I still only own this copy here on PS4, unlike most of my other games, where I double dip by getting the digital version as well. This is a really fun game though. You basically just play each level attempting to figure out how to kill someone. The way you kill them seems to get harder and harder each level. Each one is like a little puzzle you need to figure out, and I had a blast with it. Next is Layers of Fear Masterpiece Edition, which comes with the DLC on disc. This copy is sealed and is another one of my favorite horror games of all time. I was not collecting for Switch at the time that they did their CE of this game, but if I had been, I definitely would have jumped on it. I'm absolutely kicking myself now for not getting it then. Limited Run aren't known for doing very many horror games, but I've tried to get almost every single one that they've done, and this one is no exception, so perhaps I'll get the Switch CE one of these days. I'll just have to pay a lot for it. Here is another one of my my favorite games of all time. This one is still sealed as I own the digital version everywhere. Lone Survivor Director's Cut was made by another one of my favorite indie developers, Jasper Byrne. He created the 2D Silent Hill homage Soundless Mountain 2. Lone Survivor is definitely one of the weirdest and most creative games ever made, and I had to get this when I saw they were doing physical copies. You literally can't have a horror collection without it. Changing the pace up a bit from all the horror, we have an open copy of Mitsurugi Kamui Hikae, a name that I'm sure I butchered. I opened this one because I didn't own it digitally and I wanted to play it. Turns out I probably should have just left it sealed as I didn't end up enjoying it very much. I thought it might be like Oni Chambara or something, but it's really not. I didn't hate it, I just didn't love it either. Next, we have Momodora, Reverie Under the Moonlight. This is a sealed copy because I do own this game digitally and it's a fun little platformer with horror elements. Supposedly it's part of a series, but I've never played the other ones. All I know is I love the music and the art style in this one, but it is a little difficult, so be warned. There are difficulty settings, but even on normal and easy, this game can be hard to get through. Next, we have Narcosis. This is also a sealed copy, despite the fact that I don't own this anywhere else yet, and it's a horror game. The temptation to open it or get it digitally has been great, and I'm sure I'll probably be picking it up soon. That being said, I understand this game is terrifying, and I'm really looking forward to trying it out. There aren't many horror games I haven't played yet, but this is one of them. Here we have Observer. This game is sealed as I already own it digitally on Steam. It's made by Bloober Team. They made Layers of Fear and the new Blair Witch game. This game stars Rutger Hauer and is probably one of the best cyberpunk games of the last 20 years. I know it'll have a contender for that title though when Cyberpunk 2077 launches later in 2020. I guess time will tell, but this physical version of Observer is definitely breathtaking. Next up is Oregon Trail Complete Edition. This game is almost identical to the old school Oregon Trail games that you may have played as a kid, only now the story is about a zombie infection in more modern times. You still travel across a map of the US hoping to survive. You still have to look for food. You still have clumsy shooting sections and deals trading for parts and food in the towns you stop in. An old classic with a new coat of paint. It just happens to be painted in blood. This copy is sealed as I own it digitally on PS4. Here we have Tacoma. This game is sealed because I own this game digitally on Steam. Tacoma was made by the same team that made Gone Home, one of my favorite games of all time. For this game, they added someone new to the team, one of my favorite indie developers, Nina Freeman. Nina is known for making highly experimental but enjoyable and thought-provoking games, such as How Do You Do It? Tacoma is not as good as Gone Home, but it is still very, very good, and I'm kicking myself for not picking up the CE that you see here. Maybe I'll get it one day. I was unable to video this next item because we recently moved and it's still packed up in one of the boxes. I looked for it today but was unable to locate it. I purchased the Night Trap Collector's Edition for PC, and then I wished I had purchased the console version instead because the PC version ended up not being highly sought after, so it probably won't be worth much, but it is still really cool to have it in the collection. As soon as I can figure out which box it's in, of course. Night Trap is still really fun to play even today, and although it seems tame by today's standards, was once banned in multiple countries. It's laughable looking back at it, but this game was kind of a rebel in its time. My copy of Night Trap is open because even though I own it digitally on Steam, I wanted to get a look at the goodies inside. Frankly, I think the Switch version you're seeing here is much better, and I'm pretty sure I paid about the same for mine. A little bit of buyer's remorse with this one, I have to be honest. Next up is the collector's edition of Corpse Killer. This is the 25th anniversary edition of the infamous FMV game, and I just had to have this because it looks amazing. My copy is sealed despite the fact that I don't own it on any other platform. I will be purchasing it somewhere else so I don't have to open this one to play it. This FMV game stars Bill Moseley as the captain. You may know him as Chop Top in Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, or maybe as Otis B. Driftwood in House of a Thousand Corpses and 3 from Hell. Everyone that ordered this collector's edition received a piece of original memorabilia. I was really hoping for an original copy of this game for the 3DO, but sadly all I received was a tiny piece of film that I'm going to try to show you at the end of this video. I would have gladly paid a little bit more for that 3DO copy though. This next item might be the coolest thing I have in my entire collection. Not just in my limited run collection, but in my entire collection of games. This version of Thimbleweed Park is not sealed because I just had to get a look at what's inside. The disc is also open because my girlfriend and I have both played the heck out of this game. In fact, she got the Platinum Trophy for it. This might be one of the best point-and-click games of all time, and it contains so many awesome things, like a very nice map, a newspaper with some very cool articles. Someone actually sat and came up with all these newspaper articles. These aren't little blurbs, these are actual stories that someone sat and wrote in this newspaper. It makes the whole thing just feel really authentic. They put a lot of effort into this, and it shows. There's a set of really cool post-it notes, several different stickers, The pizza one that you'll see here in a second is my favorite. It even came with a soundtrack on cassette. I mean, how cool is that? It might be the only cassette in my entire house right now. I absolutely love this game, and this is definitely my favorite CE that I've received from LRG. That being said, there are some things on the way that are very cool too, and we're going to talk about those up next. So what have I purchased that hasn't got here yet? That's a good question. Stranger Things 3 is a game my girlfriend and I played on the channel. I bought the digital Steam version the day it released and we absolutely loved it, so when I found out LRG were doing a collector's edition, I had to pick it up. As you can see, it has a very old school Nintendo vibe and I think it's going to be fantastic. This is one I will probably not be opening when I get it. Lifeless Planet Premier Edition. I've wanted to see a physical version for forever, and I was glad to finally see LRG put this out. I ordered it the day it went up. I just wish we could have got a collector's edition, but I suppose it's probably not well known enough for that. It's a shame, because this is a neat little hidden gem that I hope more people get to experience. I will most likely not be opening this copy of the game. Dark Devotion is a game I've not played, and I do not own it elsewhere, but I still will probably not be opening up this collector's edition. It comes with a really cool steelbook and soundtrack. I did order the Nintendo Switch version of this one mainly just to start increasing my collection on that console. I have not yet played this game, but I do want to pick it up digitally at some point. The last item I have on the way is the Switch Collector's Edition of The Missing, one of my favorite games of all time. It was my game of the year for 2018. I even did a video declaring as much on the channel. The developer, Swery65, also made another one of my favorite games of all time, Deadly Premonition. I also own that Collector's Edition for the Switch, so maybe we'll do a video with that one in it one day. I do not have plans to open this CE when it arrives, however, I may have to do so in order to get FK, the stuffed animal, out of it. I really want to see it and hold it to see how well it's made. You can see FK in the game, but I really want to see what it looks like up close since it appears to have been cobbled together using parts of other stuffed animals. This CE is the most expensive thing I've ever purchased at LRG. It came to over $90 with shipping and tax, but I don't care. It may just end up being my favorite thing that they've ever done. My girlfriend wants to steal the donut out of this when it comes. Now, let's take a look at some of the stickers, postcards, baseball cards, and various other items I've received from some of my orders over the last few years. Here we have a few random goodies that include a Lone Survivor postcard, some LRG stickers, and some Momodora stickers. This is the Corpse Killer film. You can barely tell there's anything there at all, so it's cool, but a little disappointed. I really wanted that 3DO copy. And lastly, here we have 15 of the playing cards I've received with my orders. I hope you enjoyed this look at a small part of my physical game collection. That's going to do it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, tell that like button you want to smash. And don't forget to subscribe. You stay you, I'll stay me. Drugi forever. Thank you everybody so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And I will see you in the next video. Later.